What's up, everybody, and welcome to West Virginia. On this rainy day, we're going to be going up 219 North, and we just got food here at the Silver Dragon. Now, the tea, we've already had it.
Yeah, it was so good we couldn't wait till we had our food.
And, is that a DeSoto? What is that, a DeSoto?
You're driving over curb.
Is that a Dodge Wayfarer? What is that?
Prowler.
What is it?
Prowler.
Prowler, okay. Well, guys, so we're right now in Lewisburg. We're going to head north along 219, and we're going to give you guys kind of a drive through West Virginia. So if you've ever wondered, what's it like to drive through West Virginia? This isn't like a completely mountainous part of West Virginia. Mm-hmm. It's kind of more other landscapes. You'll see. Let's go for it. I haven't had the Chinese food yet. We got food from there because as we head on our journey,
I got watermelon, milk, boba tea, and Jose got pineapple.
I liked it. And I didn't like the little, whatever the little bally things are.
Those are my favorite. That's the boba.
Oh, look at the traffic. Unbelievable. My goodness. But we got food from there. The guy was very friendly. And since he's lived in the town for many years. And also, the teas were very good teas. Boba teas. I'm still sipping on it. I just don't like the little balls that are in it. I love the juice. Not sure about the little balls at the bottom. Well, this is some unfortunate traffic. Does this guy have a dog in the back of his truck?
Yep.
Wow. You don't see that in every state.
I don't think it's allowed in a lot of
states. Yeah, they don't care. A place like this, they don't care.
Yeah.
I can't believe how bad the traffic looks going this way. Why is there so much traffic out here? I guess this is the only big town in this area, so everybody's got to come. Now, there's a sign on the side of the road here that says now hiring $12 an hour. West Virginia is the second poorest state in the country. Only Mississippi's poor. $12 an hour does not sound appealing to me. Sure couldn't sustain my lifestyle at the moment. But they got a sign up. $12 an hour. Now, Lewisburg here, this is kind of one of their more fancy towns with more opportunities and just kind of a richer people. And it's a different type of town than the rest of West Virginia. It's not, I guess this eastern tip of West Virginia next to Virginia is kind of culturally isolated and different from like where we were last time. The southwestern side of West Virginia, high overdose death rate, higher crime rates, just a different environment. But this here is a little bit nicer part of West Virginia. So I guess the reason there's traffic would be that people that live further ahead have to come work over here. And it's only 3 o'clock. I can't imagine at 4 o'clock what it's going to look like. You don't really think about a traffic jam in West Virginia, but this is kind of a busy area. But again, that's what we do on our YouTube channel. We actually discover the things that well, at least they drive fast. They kind of get it moving.
Yeah.
They don't fall asleep behind the wheel. We got our Chinese food, and we'll eat it. We're going to do, they don't have a sit-down area, so we took it to go, and that's fine. We'll find a little bench somewhere in a park.
Yeah.
And we'll eat somewhere in a park. We'll have to find a park that has a bench or something.
Yeah.
Okay, we got past this little hurdle. There are parts up ahead that have traffic too. Now, you don't see like those refrigerator Tesla trucks or anything like that. It's not that, but the houses are big and beautiful. And that Marlington town's kind of bigger. It's a bigger town. We'll definitely do a video there. What's that? What do you put in the map?
Elkins.
So it's gonna take 2 hours and 100 miles. Relaxing. That's hilarious because relaxing is like relax in twins. We're just relaxing at the relaxing. It's a very relaxed place. West Virginia, take me home to the place. Cadillacs rolling on 25. Oh, I'm that's Louisiana. My bad. Well, this is a little bit different than the other part of West Virginia that we've seen before. It's more of an economy here. More affluence, you could say. Seems like business moves here. Of course, the geographical isolation of this area is something that most people... Oh, is that a BMW dealership and a Mercedes-Benz dealership? All the cars are just pimping. Do you see that? Man. We got some light rain that's going to come through a cold front. It might get cold enough to snow in the higher Haitian elevations. So we're going to be on this road for a long time, Katie. So what I want you to do is look for parks ahead of us that have, and look through the photos and see if you can find a park that's got benches. How many shed stores does the town need? Apparently quite a few. But the guy was very friendly, very nice. I walked in, I was like, he doesn't have a sit down area. But you know what? I like the guy from the moment I saw him. I like it, man. We're gonna sit down and eat here. So I had somebody ask me, like, why is it on all your videos you always talk about race? And I'm like, well, people in this country are very sensitive about race, and they don't want to talk about it. So that's why I talk about it. I don't really cater to people's sensibilities. I'm not trying to be offensive, never. Never try to be offensive. Never try to offend people, unless they're from Charlotte, but or Irontown. Just real stickers here. The goal is not to be offensive. The goal, and why I do that, is people don't realize, because it doesn't affect them, that it doesn't affect other people. And as people move across America, if you are a minority and you can move to the wrong place, your whole life can become a nightmare. And it happened to me. And since I shared my story on the internet, it's happened to other people. And I want people to share their stories and get the word out about these places, because we don't want people to go through these nightmares that I went through. It's about protecting people that are vulnerable. I care about the homeless because they're vulnerable. I care about minorities because they're vulnerable. I am a protector of people that need help. I like to look out for other people in any way I can, and that means helping the homeless, anybody that's disadvantaged. It's about helping people, and I do feel like many people in this country sometimes need to hear a few things they don't want to hear, because it's good for them to hear it. They need to hear it. And if you're one of those people that's always trying to shun that topic because you were brought up that way, maybe, or because you're afraid about talking about those topics, you shouldn't be afraid to talk about those topics. You shouldn't be afraid of being labeled a racist. I'm not afraid of being labeled a racist. I get these, when I first started getting on YouTube, I started to see these comments left and right, people calling me racist for no reason. And I figured, if you're going to label me a racist when I'm not, I might as well not be afraid of it. That's what I've done. The internet's going to label you a racist no matter what you say. So if you're going to be labeled a racist when you're not a racist, then you might as well not be afraid. But people in this country are afraid of that. They're afraid of that because to them, I don't know why they're afraid of it. They think it can cause them harm. But it's a sentiment. So what do people do? Then they try to wrap up their sentiment in a political ideology or some other conspiracy theories, or they spread misinformation, but they never really address the core issue. They always beat around the bush of the main problem, never addressing it, always diverting it into some kind of indirect, gibberish, subtle tones, passive-aggressive ideologies. Don't ever address the underlying issue. Why are they afraid? Some people are afraid to talk about it. Some people are afraid of being labeled that way. I'm not, because I know who I am and my audience knows who I am. I'm the type of channel that's not easy to swallow. I'm the type of channel you got to sit back and absorb it, understand it, and then you'll come to like it eventually. But if you're one of those people that likes to judge things by face value, you're not going to last too long in my videos, because this is not something. This is a high view duration channel, basically. That's something you guys sit back and absorb. And it's something that I've lived, I've experienced, and unfortunately, if it triggers people, it generates views.
Yeah.
So if you're in the comments complaining about it, that's exactly why I am doing it as well. Because YouTube, it's about interaction. It's about the interactions we get out of people. And if you're in the comment section talking about it, positive or negative, interaction's interaction. YouTube wants the audience to interact. And if your interaction is getting triggered, then that's so I don't get to pick how the algorithm works. I just get to cater to it. So this is kind of an interesting landscape out here. I see a lot of farming. So what I've noticed in my experiences, and it can vary from place to place, rural areas where there's farming are good people, better people. And rural areas that are not good for farming, it just creates a different type of culture that isn't as wholesome. And it's kind of the difference between a lot of rural areas. People think rural America is all the same. It's not. It really isn't. Rural America has a different composition of people depending on the type of activities that are happening in those rural areas. Like in Florida, we got rural areas that are just kind of suburban retirement, and those exist throughout the whole country. You got rural areas that are agriculture based. You got rural areas that are just wooded areas. A lot of that in the south. And then you got kind of like a mixed-use area, but kind of like more like the Northeast, where you have just a little bit of everything spread out. Because they're older communities that have been there longer. You don't see as much of that out west. Out west, it's just scenic mostly. But places like this that have farming, you can see. If you see, my experience is that the best people out there, my favorite type of rural community as far as dealing with people, is farming-based communities. They seem to be more wholesome, more welcoming, just more genuine people. But if it's more like wooded hunting areas, those areas, people seem to be a little bit more unwelcoming, less genuine, from my perspective. That's what I've noticed. And I lived in rural Alabama. When I lived up there, I noticed that I really liked the rural people that lived in the farming areas. I actually worked a lot for them. They had a lot of work. The people that lived kind of like in the sticks, like in the hollers and stuff, that were kind of like what I would call hillbillies. They weren't really the most welcoming or productive or much of anything. But the rural people that lived in Alabama that were like engaged in farming, like let's say I lived near the town of Wetumpka. North of Wetumpka, you have an area that has a little bit of agriculture because it's kind of like a plateau. In places like that, I got a lot of work. The people were always doing stuff to their properties. And I had people build a fence over here. I shared a nice experience with you out of Alabama. I worked for a guy north of Wetumpka, and we were building a fence for him. He couldn't find anybody to work, and we needed a formula to how he was going to pay me. We came up with an hourly formula. Now, I know this sounds ridiculous, but we agreed that he would pay me $50 an hour. Was that what it was, Katie? It was $50 an hour for me to come out there and work, which sounds like a lot of money, but it was hard work, digging holes, basically, and installing fence posts. And there was trees in the way I had to cut out of the way and stuff. It wasn't easy. It had to be at like 8 on center or whatever. It was a little bit of work. It was like where I would dig a hole, put a post, and then run 3 vertical 2x6s across. Remember that? You helped me do that.
Yeah.
For a little bit. they would agree on an hourly rate of like $50 an hour to do some posts. And I told them, I can't give you a schedule because I have other things going on. But like I was out there like, I don't know, like 3 times a week for 4 hours here, 3 hours there. They had cows. Okay, there's no rush. You just take your time on that turn. You just take all the time in the world you need. Have you found a park yet, Katie?
No.
Why haven't you? I asked you to.
There's some up ahead.
How are you going to find them if you don't look at the phone? Look for parks that have benches so we can eat. And they're not right on the main road. They might be like a mile this way or a mile that way. Just write the word park on Google search, parks, and you'll get all the little icons and go through them and see if any of them have benches. Anyways, when I lived in rural Alabama, I figured out that like the farmers would hire you and they pay you good, treat you very well. You know, it was a joy to work. I've always said on my channel, like the one thing that was great about Alabama was working for people in areas like this. Like you see those cows here, these type of rural areas here, these people will hire you. They just can't get people to work out here, and people they can trust. That's the thing. They don't trust everybody, but once you win these type of people's trust, you'll work for one, then you'll work for their neighbor, then you'll work for their aunt. And I met people in Alabama. I would work for one family. Then you work for their brother, then you work for their cousin, then you work for their parents, and you work for their parents' neighbors. Next thing you know, you had a whole network of people that were all connected that were hiring you, and you were doing all types of work for these people, you know? And it was great, man. It was just, once they know you're good and you don't steal and you keep your word and you show up on time and you got like, you're composed properly. Because the thing about those people, they don't like mess ups. They don't like, when you're dealing with country people, real country people that do farming and stuff like that, they're people you gotta have word, you gotta have, you're not gonna be out there smoking and acting. There's certain things they expect from you. They expect certain type of morality from you. Once you gain those people's trust and they know you're reliable, man, you got work. Cash money, always cash money, never a check, cash. And the best thing is they like to barter. I was in Alabama. I would go work for somebody, and they would barter with you. They'd be like, "Hey, now there's some things I learned not to try to barter with. They have a lot of sentimental things that they inherit or something like that. Don't try to barter for stuff like that. Because I'm an antique collector, and just don't even try to go for stuff like that. They don't like it. But then I have an old truck sitting there, you know. Like, man. Get that car sitting there, you know, like they give you options. Like, we got cash money, I got equipment, I got a truck sitting over there. I look at the car and be like, man, I can sell that car in parts. So instead of taking the cash, I might take a car off them. Now that's tax free because it's just a barter, it's a trade, and I can grab that car and I can sell it for parts and I can make $1,000 out of $200. You know, I went out there to make 200. I might really make 1,000. It was a good system that I had working for the people in Alabama, the country people. But I messed up. And I messed up because there's certain rules you had to play by that I refused to play by, because in Alabama, segregation is still a real thing, and I refused to play by those rules, and it became a problem. So once again, it was a great thing for me. It was a great thing for those rural communities, and what ruined it? Good old racism, Southern segregation. And it wasn't really me that was the problem, it was just really them. I got to the point where everything that I was getting was coming from white people, but all the buyers were black people. And among those black people were people that they weren't really buyers, they were really predators looking to rob you. Call the cops. You know, cops told me some unfortunate things. This is a scenic trail. Being a scenic trail, it's not a national forest, so are we? Make sure we don't go into national forest territory.
There is one up ahead, but we're not
near it.
quite
Yeah, I
there.
don't think it is. Okay. Yeah, you can be on scenic trails. Just, you don't want to be on state. We got to look out to make sure we don't record within state national parks. I mean, are there like moose and elk and black bears out here and stuff like that, and panthers and mountain lions and turkey and deer?
Yep.
Hunters. Those are gorgeous. I'm starting to smell like Chinese food. No luck yet?
I'm finding something.
You're founding. She ain't finding, she's founding something. I'm founding something.
Jose, stop.
How about I keep going with it? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? So yeah, to answer your question, that's why the topic is relevant, because people comment about it. Because people want, and then the thing is, like, when I travel, right, I could upload a video driving to these rural areas, and what's gonna get people to comment? A lot of times it's their sensibilities. If I drive through here, oh, this is so beautiful. Back in 1864, the Millers started their first farm out here. Blah, blah, blah. Video flops. But I come out here and I'm like, say something that make people get a little bit triggered, and they're commenting.
Continue on US 219 North for 11 miles.
This is where we're gonna go?
Yeah.
Nice. It's a battlefield, but it's a state park, okay?
Yeah.
Those national ones we don't want to mess with. Rennick. Little town here. Rennick, it ain't much. I've heard this type of town, we're better off driving through and doing like a drive-through video. Like this on the main road, because there's not much to these towns. There's just... Anyways, when I lived in rural Alabama, like places like this that were kind of like agricultural based, I had fun, man. Like, they wouldn't bother you. Just be out. Once you get into trust, man, they tell you, hey, go to this farm, do this, do that. You'd be out there the whole day. They'd pay you good or better than what they thought they were going to pay you. And it's so peaceful. Like, you wouldn't believe how peaceful it is to work in a place like this. Not traffic congestion, noises of equipment. No, dude, you come out here to work, and let's say you're working on one of these farms out here, man. Do whatever you're doing, putting up a fence, cleaning up a property. Come out here. They don't watch you. You're out there by yourself on this huge piece of land working. If you want to start late, if you want to take a break, listen to music, or you blast music, eat while you're working. I brought my wife with me and we talk while we work, and it was a beautiful thing that we had. But Alabama is also a very hateful and backward state. And while there were people that were amazing and they helped us, there were some people that were trying to hurt us. And the people that were trying to hurt us, the people that were trying to help us, which was a lot of them in Alabama, there was a lot of great people in Alabama who were trying to help us. The people that were trying to help us couldn't stop the people that were trying to hurt us from hurting us. In fact, the people that were trying to help us were afraid of the people that were trying to hurt us, to the point where even though they didn't agree with it, they were afraid. Once I started getting the persecution from the racism up there, I told a few people, not everybody, I told a few people, I'm dealing with this problem over here, and they got so scared they never talked to me again. So the thing about Alabama is, like, you can go over there and you can start working for people, and they'll treat you good and they'll help you, and you have this beautiful thing going on. But the moment the bad people want to hurt you, those people have a lot of power, and nobody can help you at that point. People are terrified. When I told people in Alabama, hey, I'm dealing with this problem, they were like, wow, dude, you gotta disappear. I wish you the best, but I can't even be seen near you. It became to where, like, when you told people in Alabama what you were experiencing, they were so scared, and I'm sure they knew what it meant, that they would disassociate themselves from me. They would disassociate themselves from me because they were afraid. They were terrified. They were terrified. And I remember a while back, somebody called me from Alabama. And I was already back in Florida. I was like, hey, man, I got some work for you. I said, hey, I had to move out, man. You wouldn't believe what happened. He said, don't even tell me. I already know. He said, Jose, I don't need you to tell me what happened. I already know what happened, and I was really worried about you. So, to go figure, I didn't even have to explain to the person what happened. The customer called me for work. He calls me for work. Like, hey, dude, I'm not up there anymore, man. I had something really bad happen. They're like, I was so worried about you, Jose. I knew they were going to come get you eventually. And the crazy thing is that this person was helping me. They were giving me work. They were paying. They were looking out for me. And I want to be clear about something about Alabama. You've heard my nightmare stories about Alabama. There was a lot of people in Alabama that were looking out for me. But they knew and understood how dangerous the bad people up there were. And when it came down to those people trying to hurt me, they knew that there wasn't much they could do for me. That's the problem. It's like there's great people out there in Alabama that, and I met people in Alabama too that for many years. I met somebody that moved from another state to Alabama, and they were not from Alabama. They were in Alabama their whole life, but they weren't from Alabama. And these people experienced a lot. It was a black person. They experienced a lot, and they told me the stories and whatever that they experienced in Alabama, and they had to endure a lot. And I can say that I would never be as good as a person as this person was, because me, you can only push me so far before it really becomes a problem. I'm a patient person. I'm tolerant of other people. I put up with people. I forgive people. But there's a line, and if you get to that line, I become I feel like I'm the type of person that if I went to prison, I would eventually become a monster. You put me in a good environment, treat me good, I'll be the best person on earth. But put me in a bad environment for too long, and there's no telling at what point I'm going to snap. And then in Alabama, I reached the point where I just became a monster. And when I saw what these people went through, they didn't let that situation make them like that. And they went through a thing or two, and they're still going through it. But their determination to be there was more. I'm not like an outcast. Like I got family in Naples and Florida. I got family. I got a YouTube channel. I don't have to be here and kill somebody and go to prison for the rest of my life. I'm not throwing my life away to be in Alabama. Like, that's what I think about me, Alabama. I got a lot to live for, man. So if this ain't working out, I'm not going to go to prison here or be victimized. I got a whole life over there. I don't need to be here. Why would I be here suffering and dealing with... Why am I going to end up in a situation, put myself in a predicament when I got a whole nother thing going on? But I got a lot going. I got a lot to live for. So the thing about Alabama, for me, living in rural Alabama was like, well, I got a lot to live for. I can understand somebody like who has nothing to live for saying, I don't care what happens here, I'm going to tough it out. But me, it became like, no, I ain't doing this. I took a few calculated risks to protect myself, and then I was like, I understood eventually the odds would eventually not be in my favor. I took a few calculated risks, and I got out of there. I like living in rural America. I like land and animals and working hard and I like all that. But I'm not going to be in a situation where other people are going to put me in a predicament. That's not going to happen, because I can go live somewhere where I don't have that happen. of talk to other people that have lived in other places. You know, some people move, like, you know, Latinos or Asians move to some rural communities and they do all right. If the people are good and look out for them, they'll be all right. Nobody's trying to hurt them. But I've heard horror stories. In Alabama, I've seen people disappear. People go to prison when they didn't do anything. People just get put in situations where they get set up. You know, I'm not doing that. So I guess like living in rural America, it's like a two-edged sword. Like, especially like in a state like West Virginia. Look at West Virginia. Like, people just have the assumption, well, if it's a rural area, it's a great place to live. There's no crime. Have you seen this state? West Virginia is the second poorest state in the country. It has the highest drug overdose rate, highest drug overdose death rate in the country. 80 per 100 for the entire state. That's more than twice the national average for the whole state. Sad. People here just don't have a lot to live for. What's on your mind, Catherine?
I'm just looking around and seeing how beautiful it is.
Yeah. Some of these type of places are best enjoyed on vacation. Falling rock. Smell of that Chinese food. Are you sure this place has benches?
Yeah, I saw it on the thing. It has benches.
It's not raining anymore, so we should be all right with. I mean, if it's not a covered bench.
Yeah.
That would have been the real trick. Would have been a covered bench. I think we're kind of hitting an area with like more peak color.
This is gorgeous.
Yeah. And some of these areas real high up could actually get snow instead of rain. I don't know what the outside temperature is right now. Okay, we gotta hit it on home. 65.
It's not gonna snow at 65.
No, it's not, but it's not gonna snow at 65 now. But overnight, they'll drop quickly. It's still 3, 4 in the afternoon. It could be at like 38, 36, boom, 34.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it's snowing. At a higher elevation later at night with our front coming through. There's only like a 5% chance of snow, but I think tomorrow there'll be a 5% chance of snow overnight. It ain't much, but that's when we saw snow in Alabama. It was like a 5% chance overnight.
Yeah.
I guess the other disappointing thing about Alabama, like, it would snow all the way back into Louisiana, which is way further south, and even Texas, way further south. But like, okay, so the snow line in the east coast of the United States, it isn't a north to south. It's actually like a southwest to northeast. For example, the coast of North Carolina and into Virginia, like the northern coast of North Carolina, may not get snow. And then in Louisiana, back to the Gulf of Mexico, way further south, it will snow. So it's like it's a vertical line, not a north to south line. And like in Alabama, man, it didn't matter. You look at the weather, you'd see the snow coming. It was coming, and it would turn into rain right before it got to us. It never really snowed where we live. And then I think the year after we moved away, they didn't get a big snow, right? Or 2 years after we left, they had 1 year where they got a lot of snow. That mobile home right there is just abandoned. Mountain playground. Drop. Or
Droop.
Droop. Yeah, that's what I figured. Droop. Put a little bench here somewhere. Yeah, this is really isolated up here. You know, you can see cars or nothing. It's definitely one of the most isolated regions of the country out here. There's not much. It's starting to rain a little bit. was cooler than 65 though. There's speed limit here.
55.
Tractors. This is definitely one of the most like sparsely populated regions in the whole east coast of the country up here. This is just like nothing out here. And I've always liked rural living. It's like for me, if it was for me, I'd buy an old farmland up here, an old abandoned farm. And, I mean, crap, the house that we bought in Alabama, we bought it for $65.
Yeah.
We sold it for $138. We doubled the money in 1 year. How much work do you think I did to that property when I doubled the value in a year?
Yeah.
You buy a house for $65 and you sell it for $138. Yeah, that's a lot of work. Sadly, the realtors and taxes took about, we only made $118 on the way out, which is still double. Still double. You mean after real estate fees and realtor fees? Look at these clouds, how they like build up like that when they come over the mountains. It's like the mountain kind of pushes up the clouds, and the clouds start to like look like the landscape. Alright, so this place is nearby. We're almost there. Oh man, I did so much to that house up there. I had it, you know, I fenced it in partially. I was gonna fence in the whole thing, but it was not the type of terrain the ground wasn't conductive to digging holes and stuff. It was like rock and clay. It was digging a hole was a nightmare. Getting the hold was a nightmare because the ground didn't really hold very well. But I fenced it. I changed the roof.
In a quarter mile,
Build a
you will
back
arrive at your
porch.
destination.
The house was wrapped in trees, and I pushed the tree line back half an acre. You know, planted more trees. I planted palm trees, which where's the parking to the left or the right?
Or it'll be on Park Road, up ahead.
Left right here. Let's see if there's a sign. There's just a little trail.
That's Park Road.
So right in there.
Yeah.
Is there a
You have
sign?
arrived.
Because it looks like there might be a head.
Yeah.
That's up. That there.
Right there.
Okay.
Right up there.
Yeah, that looks better. That's looking at a residential street. So there's a park here. Man, this looks like state park. There'll be benches and stuff, right?
Saw benches on the photos.
Wow, a whole different. Oh, I see like maybe that little thing over there. Yeah, man, pop over here and go eat up there.
Yeah, it's covered too. There's some that are covered and some of them aren't.
Go up in here. Oh, there's like rocks and stuff.
Right there. You can get there. Yeah.
Do they even have bathrooms or no? Oh, there's
Just,
like nothing out here.
there's like nothing.
I'm gonna
Well, we can
eat on
eat.
the truck bed.
No, we can eat at a
Can you
bench.
camp? Can you camp here?
No.
We can sleep here tonight. But this is like, I wonder if you're allowed to mow attack here.
No. There's bathrooms over there.
Alright, cool. I guess you just park somewhere.
I'm gonna eat at a bench.
We'll park over here.
I'm gonna eat at a
Extraordinarily
bench.
isolated, so there's nobody here. Alright, y'all.